Hello, and thank you for joining me in the newest episode, Part 12, of my Bloodborne effective run. I do apologize, it's been over a week since I last uploaded. Unfortunately, I've lost my job. Don't really want to go into too much detail, but it affected my morale, so to speak, and so I took a week off to gather my thoughts and figure out what I want to do. And then I was also quite busy with potential job interviews and projects for any new potential work I could get. So I do apologize for that. Today, we're going to be going through probably, it might be my favorite level in the game. That being said, if you're following along and you've progressed the same amount that I have at this point, we are under-leveled for the general enemies in the area. I do actually think, especially if you've been following along very specifically with the playthrough in terms of getting good with parrying, the boss is pretty easy for this area. There's a really powerful blood gem right there that we were able to just pick up. I do recommend just running down and getting it, although it is probably a suicide run. But it is definitely an upgrade, or probably an upgrade over any particular blood gem you're currently using. We are going to be using the Ludwig's Holy Blade in this episode for a couple reasons. Some of the enemies we're going to be dealing with, or I think all of them, are weak to righteous damage, and currently Ludwig's Holy Blade is the only weapon I have at my disposal that does that. So here we've got the giant tick mosquito things. They are very dangerous, except for that giant fat one over there. As you can see, they are definitely a threat. Not really worth fighting, to be honest, especially considering we're under-leveled for the area. We're here for a very specific reason. There are 4 bloodstone chunks here. And what that'll do for us is allow us to get our weapon to +7, giving us, and then 1 extra. Meaning we would need then 12, no. I don't remember. I can't do math. 3, 5, 8. So we would have another 4. Yeah. So we would need 12 more bloodstone chunks after that to get to our +9 state after we get the chunks here. Now, there are a lot of items and interesting weapons that you can get here, and a lot of interesting lore implications. I'm not really sure of the lore of these ticks is, but they're effectively like vampires that drank too much blood and can't really walk around effectively anymore. And then there's a couple other enemy types that we'll be fighting. And then a very notable enemy type that we'll be fighting. So we have ghosts, we have servants, and they are very much cleaning the premises. And then we also have gargoyles. And luckily those fat ticks can't fit through the door. You can hear the ghosts now, weeping, crying. They don't really like to make themselves known until you grab the items around here. They're kind of like a security system. And we've just killed one of the cleaning staff. They're actually quite the threat. They can aggro all of the ghosts, or very specific ones of them can. Ironically, though, they have the same property as dogs, so that if you shoot them, they go flying. So do keep that in mind. They've got very quick attacks. And when I pick up this item here, we're going to see our ghost problem. Now these guys, women, these lovely women here, are a threat if they get close to you. Now, they are able to sneak up behind you very easily. They're weak to piercing and righteous damage. Sorry, words are hard. But as long as you're able to keep your distance, they're pretty easy chump change. I wanted to test out the Saw Spear against them just to see the damage difference, and Ludwig's Holy Blade just clearly outclasses it here in terms of its range and everything. These enemies were very much designed more for the Ludwig's Holy Blade to be used against them, or something with range. Like I said, though, we are under leveled, so the next few videos, you can really do them in any order you want. Although I do recommend stopping before you get to the boss. And this is actually probably the hardest area I run through. Ironically, I go through the hardest one first. In my quest for a +9 weapon, and I'm going to go ahead and spoil you guys. I don't end up getting it. I don't want to go for the grind. But I do end up with a +8 weapon very early. Which, a +8 weapon before ROM, nothing to scoff at. And we will have a +8 weapon before the next boss we fight, which I think would be Shadows of Yharnam. It's either Shadows or Amygdala. Amygdala's area is definitely a good area to run through, the Nightmare realm. We are definitely of expected level for that. A lot of people find that area frustrating, though, because it's the classic poison level. It's the Soul Swamp poison level, and in poison in Dark Souls in Bloodborne is definitely a really big threat. It takes off a good chunk every time it ticks, but it could still be mitigated relatively easily because it doesn't last as long. It decays quicker than it does in other games. So it is easy enough to just heal through it, especially when you're walking through a lake or something like that. We'll go into more detail when we go through there. Now we're about to pick up another weapon in here, which is not really my forte, but if you're a fan of rapiers, this is definitely the weapon for you. I think rapiers are very sexy on their own, but I find their video games and movesets to be boring. I like large sweeping and poking combos, where rapiers are all pokey. Now, something you can do if you're doing a more blood-tingy build with the Rider Plosh here, which is the rapier. It's a gun rapier. You can put Bone Marrow Ash in your main gun, and then put the rapier, put the Rider Plosh into gun mode, and parry the enemy. Then shoot your ultra charged gun at the enemy when they're in a staggered state for bonus damage. Why would you do this? Well, you've invested into blood tinge and you want gun damage, and or you're Lobos Jr. and you're doing a gun only run. Either one works. But yeah, there are, ironically though, while blood tinge is the main stat for your ranged gun weapons, there are plenty of very effective blood tinge melee weapons that do all have a double edge to them. While they give you a large benefit, they all seem to do a harm to the user of some sort, whether it be a temporary harm or a constant harm, or maybe an active harm. And what I mean by that is, like, a temporary harm would be like you stab the weapon through your chest to cover it in blood and it does more damage, and that would be like a temporary harm where it's just one action, big chunk of health out, and you can just heal that back up. Where an active one would be, it would actively drain health from you. Alright, So we're about to pick up a very important item. That is Bloodstone Chunk number 1. 2 to go for a +7 weapon. And like I said, we're here to find 3 of them. And there is absolutely... I fought through that area because I wanted to show off how to fight these enemies and things like that. You really don't need to do that, though. There's, especially at this level that I'm at, being under-leveled here, there is nothing wrong with sprinting through this area. That being said, if you do want to farm, it is nice to be able to just go straight to the gargoyles and to go after them. I have one of my favorite YouTubers, the Seraphim17, who plays Souls games and, that's not fair to say. He plays challenging games and likes to put himself in tough situations and is a big fan of these games. He has a video that I'm going to link in the description of the chunk farm in Cainhurst Castle. We're getting ready to encounter our first gargoyle that has the really small chance to drop bloodstone chunks. And if you wanted to put yourself in that position, just come straight here and go for that. You certainly can. And then you can also, while you're grinding for that, gain the levels that you're going to benefit from while farming for that. And invest in your defense or offensive stat. This room is a trap. There's that treasure in the middle there, but what's really the problem is this. You're surrounded by ghosts. Once again, though, they're relatively slow. You can definitely see over in the corner of the screen how slow they're meandering towards you, which might give you a false sense of security. Watch out for that combo. That will, in most cases, finish you, especially at the health value that we are at right now. But yeah, if you don't go straight to the middle, you can actually control the flow of battle in this room pretty easily, just because of how slow they are. They really have trouble getting over to you. I don't know if it's because they want to be sneaky or what, but I am relatively sure that they can run over to you. And if you hear this noise, that means that they're in the room. It's not ambiance. It's the enemy letting you know it's there. Just the noble dress. This is the dress that Ariana wears, the Lady of the Night. And this is our first hint that she's more than just a woman of pleasure, a whore. She is... in all likelihood, a descendant of Cainhurst. And there's a couple characters that we will encounter. It's notable that they're a descendant of Cainhurst. And here's our hint that Ariana is. Which might be why... actually, let me look at that. Let me look up that name real quick. Alright, I looked up that name. Which might be why Adela is... jealous of her more than just on the basis of, I'm a blood saint nun and you're taking this whore's blood, but on the basis of even more ingrained, she is a vile blood and you are taking her tainted, evil, vile blood. Maybe that's why she goes so crazy and doesn't understand the hunter's lack of faith in the church and the system. There's a guy there. If you're wondering what I'm trying to do. So here's our friend. He very much is our friend. Now, his hugs might be a little painful and everything, but he has what we want. He has the goods. These enemies can drop bloodstone chunks. And bloodstone chunks are very, very important for us. I mean, I've already talked about it. I don't need to go into much more detail. But this is the reason we're here, is to get the free bloodstone chunks and farm them from these guys here. I said, have a very limited chance. They have a very strange moveset. But my advice, especially when fighting them one-on-one, is to just try to get behind them. Here's our second bloodstone chunk. My math might be off. There might be 5 here. I think there are. So I'll have to edit that in post. Unfortunately, you can't get the cheeky backstab on this one, but he kind of gets stuck in a weird position when you knock him off. And down he goes. Now we've got another surprise over to the left here. They really blend in really well, but when you point it out, they do stand out very well. They've got more detail than the statues, and they're a little bit darker than the statues that they're hiding among. But if you're following along in this video, I point out where they are, and I think those are the only 2 ones that are hiding among statues. Here's our first armed servant. They have a rapier and do really well, but check this out. Bam! Get knocked over. Just get clocked, man. Ah. Yeah, like they throw a lot more statues around to try to like put you in that cautious mode, which, you know, is not bad to be here because they had just 2 traps. But that was the last one. So it's kind of fun. Oh, no, that's kind of a lie. Here's 2 more, but they're a little bit more obvious, aren't they? And this is your first 1v2 on these guys. And 1v2, they are a bit more challenging because you can't just run behind them. So try to separate them. See if you can get one to break off from the pairing, and you might be able to have a little bit of an easier fight. I don't really like fighting them in this small hallway because they're really good at fighting in small hallways like this. I like having a large open space because, like I said, their weakness, like with many enemies in Bloodborne, is in fact their back. Notice I changed from the 2-handed weapon there to the 1-handed. That's because I want to get a faster backstab. The heavier your weapon is, the more powerful your backstab can be, but the longer it takes to get it off. I don't know how that actually counted. No chunk for me. Here we get the Executioner set. There's a little bit of lore. This is specifically what Alfred wears. This is his outfit. We don't have a helmet for him yet. Now there is an item here, very, very useful to arcane builds, called the Executioner's Gloves. And they are... they might be the most useful in an arcane playthrough. That are easily accessible. There's a couple other weapons or other hunter's tools that I could think of that would be relatively useful, but I think that how should I put this? Well, just the gloves are just easily the best choice in terms of being accessible, because the other tools I'm thinking of are in the DLC. And you have to go through an incredible amount of effort to get them, which I'm in the current process of trying to do in my arcane playthrough, but I have to go through Ludwig, and anytime you have to go through Ludwig to get something, it's not an easy task to get to that early. That might be a good point to go Chalice dungeon hunting or something along those lines, to make yourself strong enough if you want to get something behind Ludwig.
Welcome. What is it?
Now, I'm gonna go take some levels, get through it, and everything. So, if you are watching this and you don't personally know me, you know, I'd like to hear from you. I don't know if I am reaching anybody outside of the immediate friend circle. But if you wouldn't mind, I'd really appreciate it if you could say hi. Tell me what you think about the videos so far, or any of the topics we're having in discussion. I'm currently going through checking out what is available for insight at the Messenger's bath there before heading back. So now we're going to be wearing the Executioner set and going through. But yeah, and I do apologize. I edited this a week ago, so kind of what I wanted to do initially talk about, not as easy to discuss. This is the only shortcut. We only get the one lantern in the entire area, and this is the shortcut that gets you through it. Now, there are a couple shortcuts related to this. No, there's just one other effect, so to speak, modification to the level that will make it. And here we get the best gun in the game. Oh, here's the effect. So I got hit by that blow dart, and it marks me. And they go crazy. And I think at this point they might even sprint to try to come after you. So my advice is to just... Oh, yeah, see, look at that. Look at her run there. My advice, run. So I think this is the first area where I kind of just totally ignore rooms and just go for it. There is a speedrun trick people do here that allows you to skip a good chunk of the level. I don't know if that is a good chunk, to be honest, or if it's that much faster. But it saves you a good amount of time, and I'm going to try to show that off here once I have kind of cleared the path, because platforming in these games is hard. It's another one of those blow dart users. They're actually quite a threat, and they can knock you off the ladder as well. Bad trade me. These guys aren't actually all that scary, even with the level advantage they have. They just don't have the range, and that's kind of been the theme I've noticed in the playthrough of the regular game, is most enemies just don't have the range to deal with your spacing. Having good spacing is a big deal, and it really helps out right there. Well, I think we're about to come up on another bloodstone chunk. It's chunk number 3. Oh, we're too fat. There it is. So now we have 3. So now we have enough that we can just go upgrade our weapon if we want. But there is a Wandering Madness still that has a bloodstone chunk or 2 for us. See, look at how diligently they're just cleaning everything. I kind of want to kidnap one in my house, but if you accidentally like got in their way, this is how they'd react, and I don't know if it's worth the risk. But I could really use some hardcore cleaning action in my residence. So that staircase we just fought at is where the shortcut happens. That speedrunners like to take. I think I am going to show it off. I just don't remember. I'm sorry. I just really love this room. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the game. I absolutely... this level is just so awesome. Another skip. So, yeah, we're pointing out here the ability to, you know, hop over the fence here and stand on that bookcase. There's a room full of ghosts there, but that's where the executioner's gloves are, in that chest right in the corner of the screen there. And yeah, I do end up deciding to show off this. If you jump from here, you can jump over the fence rather than roll. And you can just kind of bypass a small chunk of this level that otherwise you wouldn't be able to. Or you can just go straight for the Executioner's Gloves and just bypass that room entirely. There are other goodies in there as well, but the Executioner's Gloves are the real treasure in there. So if you're not running an arcane build, that room might not be worth it unless you just want to clear it and collect everything. And now we're able to go climb up and go fight the boss, or go fight our Wandering Madness. This is kind of just making me want to pick up Bloodborne again. Oop, we get a blood gem here. So, this is good for your gun. Do more damage. And then if we go around the corner here, we're going to find a little friend. And he's going to give us a nice present. Let's see. 2 bloodstone chunks. That's pretty great. I'll need to play with the editing on that to get the ding in the right spot. It's kind of weird that it moved. But yeah, that's pretty much Cainhurst Castle. If you go through that door, we've got a little bit more loot, and then that'll lead us to Martyr Logarius. We're not going to do that just yet. I think we want to clear out the rooms downstairs. But yeah, that's pretty much the entirety of it. And I wish I knew the lore a little better. I was curious as if you could just jump to that point, and ultimately I decided that it wasn't a good idea. Oh, I want to go into more detail. I haven't really talked about just specifically what makes this run the effective run. Every other time I've played a Souls game, or I've played Bloodborne for that matter, I never really utilized consumables. I've had a philosophy change on that front. And as a result of playing Persona 5, oh look, you can see our buddies over there from around the corner. And we're going to get surprised by a couple of gargoyles here. But I've had a philosophy change, mostly thanks to Persona. Persona 5, especially if you're doing like a hard playthrough in one of those games, you have to use your items. And I'd never really done a playthrough where I used the appropriate paper along with beast blood pellets. And really, like those two things, it's kind of like using red tearstone ring. It's so effective. It absolutely changes the game. And then the saw spear, what it does to bosses. You know, a lot of people when they play this game, they use the big freaking sword or the rapier or whatever. But the saw spear and saw cleaver, the weapons are just so absolutely unique. It's the game. It really is built around the idea of using them. Like they're specifically made for this game, and it's just awesome. I guess I don't go in there and play with them. But anyway, using them. It's just so unique to Bloodborne. So I really, you might be tempted to use the Blades of Mercy, the Saw Cleaver, or I'm sorry, the Saw Cleaver. You might be tempted to use any variety weapon, and that's fine, really is. But you really should do a playthrough where you use the game's sake's weapons. Now here we've got a gargoyle with red eyes. And I'm not really sure if he has more health or not, because I kill him in the same amount of shots. But I just thought that was worth unique and worth pointing out. Another thing I want to point out is we're on the roof. It kind of like, this feels like it could be a boss arena, doesn't it? But this goes into the level design that but you know, this is the first time we've seen it like this since, I guess, maybe Anor Londo in Dark Souls 1. Which, you know, like there aren't that many games. But in Dark Souls 2, there wasn't anything like this. And I don't think there is anything like this in Dark Souls 3. Where the path forward is very different, not very clear in the same way. So like when you go in Anor Londo, you have to go up the building supports into the window, and here we have to walk along the roof, which in many games there would actually be no collision here to walk. You know, you wouldn't be able to traverse this direction, and if we try to go on the other side, it'll try to slide you right off. But I really like moments like these because it feels like this is not what you're supposed to do. It doesn't make sense, especially this one right here. But yeah, like this is what they intended. They intended you to walk on this path. It is unfortunate you have mandatory damage right here. Adornment prized by the Knights of Cainhurst resembles a ponytail. This is really nice, especially if you get your hair color right, to put on your characters that you just don't want to wear a helmet on, but you can still have some sort of helmet benefit. And then, so here's kind of where I was struggling to decide if I wanted to go ahead and fight Mr. Logarius or Martyr Logarius here, or if I wanted to back off. And I ended up deciding to back off. You know, I did in fact go fight him, and I nearly beat him, but I didn't feel like it was noob friendly at this point to go after him. In retrospect, I could have given it a couple more tries and gotten him, and you know, told anybody to just, you know, come back when you feel like you're an appropriate level. But I just didn't at the time feel like it was in the spirit of the run. So we will not be fighting Logarius today. We'll be coming back later to fight him another day. Why am I going to the lecture building? I think I need to cut this. We'll see. Here we go. Forsaken Castle Cainhurst. Alright, no cuts required. So, I am going to go through that room now with the gloves. This is a very tough room. It's certainly very optional, as is Cainhurst Castle as a whole. So it's kind of worth the spirit of going through. But the rewards you get are, you know, good for an arcane build, pretty much. You get some cool armor. I think that's why I'm doing it, because I really like the Cainhurst armor set. It might be my favorite, at least in combo, and especially if it didn't have the neck decoration. I didn't really like the neck decoration on it. But this is a very serious room. So we're going to encounter the ghosts, as we normally do, and the guys that can mark us with the symbols that make the ghosts go crazy. But we're also going to encounter a version of the ghost that's holding its own head. And these are very, very, very serious threats. They have the ability to effectively, and the hunters don't have access to this, but effectively cast Hold Person. And you get bound. It's very similar to when the brain suckers get you with their magic and how you can't move. They have a similar ability to you that's an AoE if you're just too close and you have bad timing. And then all the other ghosts can walk up to you and just shank the bejesus out of you. I'm not sure if I get this on my first try or not. It's been a while. But it's a very serious scary room. There they are. There she is. She'll hold up her head. Blood will splatter out from her neck. And if I'm too close, it will hurt. It'll freeze me. Now, it's harmless if there's nobody else around. This room, though, is chocked full of ghosts. See? Just get out of there. It's pretty intense. Oh, there we go. There's the effect. And it lasts quite a long time. Luckily, they don't have much health. So if you can get up to them quickly enough or separate them from their packs, they're very much easier to deal with. Very terrifying enemy, though, in a group. Unfortunately, nothing but enemies over in this corner. Now there is, specifically to the right of the entrance there, probably the toughest room, because not only do we have a headless ghost, but we also have a person with a blow dart that will mark us to make all of the ghosts in the room go aggro on us. You should see me using all of my consumables to try to deal with this situation. It'd be a shame if I died. Every time I make a joke like that, the video skips. I just really just never... I'm never recording in this format ever again. Just throw my knife into the ground. This is what I mean, though, about using your consumables at your best disposal. This would have been a fantastic place to have... I think I get away with it here. This would have been a fantastic place to have the monoculars. I'm pretty sure I die, but here we go. I just lose it. Yep. Rip. And there's the armor set I want right there. I should have just gone for it. I might like Schultz here. Hello, everyone. I've actually cut the commentary here and sped up the video. Unfortunately, I was having trouble elaborating on talking about the situation. So I've decided to speed up the run back and just talk about the editing process or anything else that comes to mind. So like I said, this room that we're running back into is extremely difficult. And the methods for getting through it are really tricky. But you know, if you want that fashion or that arcane item, it's a really good place to go through. And like I said, I do apologize if my commentary today has been sloppy. As I've stated, there's been some very recent extreme developments in my life, and I really need to get my life together. Figure out what exactly I want to do moving forward, but I am planning on, until I have good responsibilities again, I'm going to go through the path of uploading more videos in the meantime, until I can find what I want to do. I hope everybody else is doing away and faring better than I am in currently the current job market. I finally get my gloves and set back, and I unlock the real reason to come to Cainhurst. This armor set. It is smexy. It looks gorgeous, and it's got some cool lore too. There is another Cainhurst set as well. It is an actual armor set, and I can't remember. I think you actually have to defeat Logarius if you want to wear it. I'll need to look up, and I'll put a which one's better on the screen. Whether the physical defense of the Cainhurst armor is better, or whether the physical defense of the Arhagul armor is better here. If you're actually going to be an armor junkie and min-max that way. I That's actually a good opportunity to discuss this. Fashion over function. For the most part, Bloodborne's armor is fashion's more important than function. It doesn't really have any sort of major in-game benefit, minus specific defenses. Like we've talked about it earlier, it can be the difference between being 2-shot and 3-shot. But there are certain bosses you'll see me take seriously here with my armor choices. One of those is going to be Mikolash, and I specifically go out of my way to wear armor that has a higher resistance to arcane abilities, and because that can help me. Anyway, that has been my Bloodborne video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe and good luck.